They didn't bring in lots of witnesses, and one witness that was relied on very heavily was a Filipino person, a gentleman. He had worked at the hospital that day for a grand total of 4 hours and never ever went back. Would you go back if this happened on your first day there? Now, the first talks to the police, this Filipino, he watched the prison officer keep the gun on my son as he was bleeding to death on the hospital floor. He stated that the prison officer, Reardon, pushed my son with his toe and got down and said something in my son's ear, keeping the gun on him and medical staff away. And they finally got him into emergency. They couldn't find the keys to the handcuffs. And where was Reardon during all this? There's also in paperwork by private investigators, 2 prison officers had gun residue and blood on them. Now, if my son was down that corridor, how could he possibly have the 2 prison officers together at that stage? Also, the doors off the MRI department open inwards. My son was handcuffed. Who opened the doors to let him out? And then as soon as he got out, he hits the wall opposite the scan room. And the blood from his main arteries was just about from the floor to the roof. It was through his aorta or catheroid vein. That was the main arteries of my son's body, and the blood was all the way up the walls. That's where, from the minute he hit that wall, he was bleeding when he came out of that scan room. One witness does state that she saw his shoulder as he came out of there. She couldn't see any officers, and she was never asked, "What do you mean by you seen his shoulder?" I believe my son was already bleeding, but that was all hushed. There's lots of different versions from lots of witnesses, but hardly any of these witnesses were ever brought into the murder trial.
The truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
He was my firstborn, my number 1 boy. Smart, talented, my pride and joy. Now that he's gone, there's only hurt, pain and sorrow. Some days don't want to face another tomorrow.
Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
But I'll use his pain to make me more strong, to keep up this fight until justice is done. I just hope folks realise if this is not done, next time it could be any one of you sons.
Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
My son was on remand, yes, for petty theft. Do you really think he deserves to be dead? States in God's Bible, thou shalt not kill. So I'll keep on fighting, I bloody well will.
Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
Is that Judge Neely, he sat at committal trial? While Mr. Prosecutor states this will take a while. The Attorney General's wife sits and laughs with the accused. Before the trial even started, the laws had been abused. So I vowed to keep on fighting and had faith at the inquest, when the coroner and PQCs all did request that he be charged with murder, which was just another farce, thrown out for lack of evidence by Cummins, what an ass.
Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail. Though she won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
grandma with a sting within my tail, and for me truth is justice, in getting this I failed. To move on with no justice, of this I had feared. Got to move on with my life, with these daily tears.
Don't you won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
I must state I said it first, vengeance will be mine. Now believe I'm being helped from our most divine.
Don't you won't get justice, the truth will prevail.
The future Morgan Phelan has met his demise. Pray Federico's next for his cowardice in life.